Welcome everyone to the Gold Rush podcast. I'm your host, Javen Takar. Folks, you already know what it is. Literally, just an hour or so, we all witnessed the San Francisco 49ers first loss of the 2023, I don't know why I said 2013 season, going week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. And now just this morning, I just posted the week 6 recap, the week 6 preview. And I said a lot of things. I said a lot of things that, hey, this can happen, but overall, the Niners should win this game. And that frankly still stands. The Niners should have won this game. But with how they played, definitely not. So let's just, took the L. 19-17. Did not play a great game. Really, nobody stood themselves out. Brock Purdy had himself a little slump game. Brandon Ayuk had like 3 drops. George Kittle, you can't really say he did bad. He only got 1 pass. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, they really couldn't get going, and they ended up getting injured. Deebo Samuel's got a shoulder injury, Christian McCaffrey oblique injury, even Trent Williams, he got a ankle injury, and he was unfortunately seen with a walking boot on after the game in the locker room. So not great news. Of course, the injury bug was going to hit us sometime. It's just a matter of fact at this point. I've got a couple of screenshots from a couple of tweets that I wanted to just to keep myself on track. So if I'm looking at my phone, that is going to be why. All in all, just a poor performance from the Niners. The defense was definitely a standout, though. You got to give them their credit. They held their own. Only allowing the Browns 19 points, which, I say that with a grain of salt, of course. That was enough to beat us. Nick Bosa, he got himself a sack. Randy Gregory, the new addition, making his 49ers debut. He looked really good out there. He got a sack as well. He got a couple of tackles. His presence was definitely welcomed. Fred Warner continued his Defensive Player of the Year campaign, and he got himself an interception, probably the best coverage linebacker, and he's really making that a point. He's in a league of his own, it seems like. Diamador Lenore got himself an interception as well, so that was, of course, great to see. Charvarius Ward did not do great. He got mossed on by Cooper. He did have himself some breakups. There was one that he had kind of clutch in the fourth quarter, and that was unfortunately called a holding, which pretty much set the Browns up to end up winning the game. There was another bad call on Tayshaun Gibson. It was it looked bad in real time, but then you watch the replay and he really didn't get any of the head or neck area. So that was a little unfortunate, of course. Other than that, the defense, they held their own. They had to come through today, and it really felt like the defense was going to have to score or something. And so that's where Diamador Lenore's interception kind of really came clutch, because it set the Niners up, and then it set up for a Jordan Mason touchdown, literally the play after that, because it was just, inside the 10 or something like that. So that was good by the defense. Just the Niners, the first half, they was kind of weak. Their first drive was really beautiful. Christian McCaffrey, he got himself a touchdown, and it was just a typical 49ers drive that you usually see that ends out with a touchdown. And then it was just pretty much downhill from there. Jake Moody missed a field goal, and then he hit a field goal, and then, of course, missed the game-winning field goal, which we'll get into in a little bit. The 49ers had -1 total yards in the first half until the last drive. And that last drive was probably their second best drive. Even though it didn't end, of course, in a win, it did set them up into field goal position. And so Brock Purdy, of course, a lot of it came from Yak. Brandon Ayuk picked up a big chunk of yards. And if they scored, then it would have been spectacular, and we wouldn't be talking all sad like this. But it didn't. Then -1 yards of offense into the last drive. So that's real unfortunate. However, I don't even know what, my brain is still a little boggled right now because of how just a horrible performance it was. Just could not get the ball moving. We talked about how legit that Browns defense was, and they absolutely showed out today with people having their eyes on the 49ers, being 5-0. People want to see them lose. When are they going to lose? Well, it's coming this week 6. The Eagles, the only remaining undefeated team left. They're playing as I'm currently recording this. Not sure exactly what the score is. Hey, if the Niners lose, the whole day is ruined. You don't even want to watch football anymore. So I haven't really tuned into any of the afternoon games. It was a tough game, of course. We talked about the rainy weather and how that would be kind of a equalizer, and it definitely played a part. Brock Purdy could not hang on to the ball. That ball kept slipping out of his hands. I think that kind of played into a factor of Jake Moody's missed field goal as well. And hey, even the Browns missed a field goal as well. Looking at the team stats here, the 49ers, they eclipsed 215 total yards. That's just horrible. Only 107 passing yards. Yeah, Brock, I didn't even think he was going to get 100 passing yards. Most of them coming from Yak. 108 rushing yards from Jordan Mason, who got himself a lot of workload, and Christian McCaffrey for a little bit before he got injured. And the Browns, they just dominated in all of these aspects. They had 335 total yards, 174 passing yards, 160 rushing yards. PJ Walker, I'm telling you, these backup quarterbacks, they throw these Niners for the loops. We remember Colt McCoy from last season with Arizona, and now PJ Walker this season. It's just, you just really don't know what to expect. The first downs, the Niners had one first down for a while in the second half. First downs, yeah. So for the rest total game, it was only 15-18. That's not too bad, but it really was crucial. The 49ers got sacked 3 times. I don't know if Myles Garrett actually ended up getting one, which would be surprising to me because he was just a game record. You just watch him. Even what's his name? Myles Garrett did not get a sack. Even Trent Williams was struggling against him, it looked like, and so that was really interesting. Jim Schwartz, the Browns defensive coordinator, just had an absolute great game plan. Shanahan was, I believe 7-1 against him coming into this game, now being 8-1 against him. And I didn't even know about this whole Jim Schwartz versus Shanahan thing until coming into this game. And it's just true. Shanahan really looked like he was playing scared. It looked like a Jimmy Garoppolo game with Shanahan. A lot of runs when we really shouldn't be running, and just nothing really working, nothing clicking, no type of rhythm. Nobody really having a big game. Nobody looking confident. The guys were just kind of mobiling, walking onto the field, this and that, especially the offense. The defense, I don't really have much negative to say about the defense. They held their own. There was the offense that really needed to get going, the offense that was really getting tested, especially Brock Purdy, against an elite defense, and being an adversary, bad weather, the offensive line not playing too great, your down points. So Brock Purdy, how were you going to step up? And of course, the whole blame doesn't go on him. The kicker, he got us into field goal range. The play calling wasn't there. I just don't get why we're trying to run screens and stuff when Debo and Christian McCaffrey aren't in. Those are the normal screen guys. And of course, Raven McLeod, he is that type of same gadget player, but it's clearly not working out. The Browns are blowing up the run. They're blowing up anything inside. We got a couple of pitches that worked out, but a majority of it the offense was not moving. And Brandon Ayuk's 3 drops obviously did not help as well. The Browns, they answered back with the physicality of the Niners, and the Niners they couldn't handle it. The Browns wanted it more, it seemed. So PJ Walker, he ended up going 18 for 34, 192 yards, and 2 interceptions. He didn't even throw for a touchdown, and they still ended up winning. The touchdown came from Kareem Hunt, and that was it. He got their only touchdown. The rest came from field goals. Right? No. Yeah. That checks out. They got yeah. That's just, it's kind of laughable, Hey, I guess you can, Brock Purdy threw for 1 touchdown. That was to CMC. He's got 15 straight games with a touchdown now, which is all great and all. The Niners, they had a streak going this season with scoring 30 plus points. That snapped. Brock Purdy gets his first regular season loss. So just a lot of streaks being broken. But hey, I'm glad that Christian McCaffrey is still there. Oh wow, Jordan Mason actually only had 5 carries, I'm seeing. I thought he had a lot more than that. Yeah, he only had 5 carries, 27 yards, and 1 touchdown. And McCaffrey had 11 carries for 43 yards, and then he caught for 1 touchdown. Brandon Ayuk with 4 receptions, 76 yards. So that sounds like a good game. A lot of it came from he had one really long play on that last drive, picked up a big chunk of yards. He ran a little out route. He caught it and then made his way inside, which I was a little nervous about because the Niners had one timeout going into that, and I'm just like, just get out. But hey, he made it work. And that play obviously helped get us into field goal range. Jawan Jennings, 2 catches for 26 yards. And then everybody else just kind of had a plethora of one catches here and there. McCaffrey's the only other one with he had 3 catches for 9 yards and a touchdown. Just not a great game, all in all. I am just not really much else to talk about. We got Randy Gregory and Nick Bosa. They got to the quarterback. I saw PJ Walker. We were getting pressure, but PJ Walker was just able to move out of the pocket so easily that it just didn't really matter. And so a lot of it was, hey, if this was if it was Deshaun Watson, let's say, we would have been shredded. It wouldn't have even been funny. And Steve Wilks, I think, really needs to tighten up his defense because the soft coverage is killing us. And we saw it happen. I mean, the in-breaking routes are just wide open, and I don't know if that was just them trying to play conservative. It probably was, and just trying to protect the boundary, but you just don't want to let up that many yards. That was just, PJ Walker just not being able to make the throws, but I mean the receivers were there. You going up against, if this play was a good indication about the Eagles game and going into the playoffs and you're playing elite teams. Hey man, I don't know about this team going up against great defenses, and especially if they're down. Like Brock Purdy, that's really what he needed to show. Now, there's not many teams better than the Browns defense. That team really showed out and why they're probably the best defense in the league. I can give them that crowd. But I mean, the Eagles, they're on the same type of level there with a pretty good cornerback room and an elite pass rush. Like you're going to expect them to stuff the run like the Browns did here today. So that's not going to be great. Like Brock Purdy's got to step it up. In great quarterbacks, teams that win championships, they'll find a way to win the dirty games like this one. It was a scrappy game for sure, and things were not going their way. But you've got to figure it out. You've got to tighten up. The one drive that they had before the last drive of the game, I believe they only knocked off like 20 seconds. It was a 3-and-out, and it absolutely could not have been because they had the lead. It was 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then it was just, I don't know why they passed it, and it was incomplete with a penalty on Brock Purdy, intentional grounding. And then it was 2nd and 21. They went to Brandon Ayuk deep, and that wasn't good. And then another incompletion, and then they had to punt it. They picked up 10 yards to Brandon Ayuk. I'm thinking of a different one. And then Mitch Wisnowski had a punt it, that was a gutter. That was a gutter because then Cleveland got to take over and then they got to score. Kyle Shanahan after the game, per David Lombardi, he of course speaking on it, quote, "It wasn't just Brock, it was on everybody. Everybody had their turn on offense and it starts with me." So I got to give it to Kyle Shanahan taking some accountability, which I feel like really doesn't happen much. I feel like I don't know, personally. It was all bad. It was all bad. Nothing went good. The Niners really didn't deserve to win this game. I saw Nick Bosa said that as well. Like it was a bad performance. Gonna have to bounce back next week. Who do the Niners play next week? Let's take a look. Because that's gonna be another, you gotta make a statement that game. The Niners are going to take on the Vikings, so that should be interesting. The Vikings, they have not been that good this year, but hey, they're just coming off of a dub against the Bears, a 6-point dub. Again, we really can't say about this team anymore. We can't say, yeah, that's a win. I mean, we said it all week. This could be a trap game, and it absolutely was. And the team was tested to their abilities. Just got to be better. Just got to be better on all levels. And I hope that the team takes this and gets better. It was a little bit of a humbling experience, I'm sure. But hey, we just got to sit and hope for better days ahead. We're not used to this season because we've had such easy wins. And so now we get a loss. We get struck in the face and we get our teeth kicked in. Kind of. We were a field goal away. Jake Moody, right, we need to talk about that. Jake Moody, the rookie kicker, he missed 2 kicks today, one being the game-winning one, 41 yards. And I get it, it was a little muggy, it was a little rainy. That's got to be automatic. He's a rookie. You can cut him some slack, and I definitely feel like, the faithful is being a little rough on him, because we think about our last kicker, Robbie Gould, and that's automatic for him. And so if we have Robbie Gould, we probably win this game, which is just the reality. But it is what it is. He's a rookie, and I do believe he'll learn from it. It's a tough loss, and you feel like you should be going 6-0, but you just got to take it. You learn from it, which there's a lot to learn from, and I'm sure this won't be the only video I make about this game. We'll probably go more in depth a little bit about him and this guy and this guy. We'll see. Happy to see some of the guys out there balling out, but the glaring holes on this team that we talked about last episode were definitely glaring. The secondary was a little choppy. The offensive line, it felt like we really couldn't pass the ball. At least Garrett didn't get a sack. You got to look at the silver linings there. At least Garrett didn't get a sack. So that's going to be it, I think. I think that's where I'm going to cut it off in this episode. We're talking down, but hey, I still, of course, have faith. I'm still going to be repping. We're still going to be making these videos. That loss column kind of got checked out a little early. I definitely thought that our first loss would be a little bit later in the year, but I'm not surprised. We've got a little tough stretch of teams coming up. We've got who is it next? The Vikings, and then it's the I want to say the Bengals after that, and then it's going to be the bye. No. So we have Vikings, and then the Bengals, the Jaguars, which I believe after the Bengals is the bye, and then the Jaguars, and then the Buccaneers, Seahawks, Eagles. So we kind of have a tough stretch of teams, of some scrappy teams that could surprise us, like the Vikings. We should win, but hey, you never know. It's the Vikings. The Bengals, they're finding their footing. The Jaguars, they're a solid team that, again, like the Bengals, they're finding their footing. The Buccaneers have been scrappy. They can win any game, it seems like. The Seahawks are solid. The Eagles, of course, that's going to be game of the year, and then the Seahawks again. So we've got some tough stretch of games that we'll be getting into more here on the Gold Rush. So with that, I will see y'all in the next episode. Who knows what it'll be? Probably be more about the free agent targets, trade targets, and stuff like that. Hopefully the Niners make a big move to improve, and then it'll be about that. So I'll catch you guys then in the next episode on the Gold Rush podcast. Follow the TikTok at the Gold Rush. I think it's the Gold Rush Pod or the Gold Rush. Follow the X, the Gold Rush _pod, and then the Instagram, the Gold Rush.pod. Righty, I am your host, James Takar. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out, faithful.